They never make it easy, do they? It can never be a straightforward game. It always has to come down to the wire some way, somehow. But Phoenix Rising rescuing a 1-1 draw here at Southwest University Park in El Paso. I'm Owen Evans, joined by Jake Anderson. You're joining us for the PHNX Rising post-game show. Yeah, there's a lot to talk after that one, I feel. Rising finished the night sitting in third place as a result of that 1-1 draw and some results elsewhere, but it doesn't allow them to clinch this weekend. Well, you know what? I've spoken enough in that little opening gambit there. Jake, let's listen to your first thoughts overall on that game. Let's go.
I just don't understand the lack of intensity, the lack of, like, there was El Paso gave you the ball in the first half, and there was no wanting it. It seemed they looked sluggish. I don't know if playing in the midweek in a third game in 8 days was heavy on the legs, but it just was infuriating to see the standing, the passing it side to side in the defense, and even when guys did come to check to the ball, it was slow. There was nothing there, and then you were fearful every time they had their back to goal with the defender coming on them, that if they did turn it over, which they did do a few times, I mean, El Paso easily could have been up 2-0 in the first half. They obviously get that intensity, but we've been saying this all season. Why can't you play the last 20, 30 minutes of the second half for at least more than a half? And I get that El Paso starts to sit back with a 1-0 lead and they don't go as far up the field. But it's just that, and combined with the fact that the goal that they do end up allowing, they did get lucky a couple of times, right? That off the post and it skidded right across the goal line. I mean, they could have been down early on, but the Crutzen mistake, and I've been hard on Crutzen all year because I've just seen mistake after mistake. But tonight, it's just he comes in the second half, and it's like it's defending 101. You got to check behind you, cut off the passing lanes. Where are the other team's attackers in your own box? I mean, it's just the fact that they scraped away with a point. If you just looked at the score line or maybe looked at the stats, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's a decent result. You watch this game for 90 minutes, and honestly, the announcers that I had to listen to, obviously, back at home for the entirety of the match was beyond aggravating. But just, yeah, I'm heated. This game really pissed me off because I'm fearful that going forward now you're throwing away opportunities to host the game. You've proven you can't play on the road for whatever reason, and now it's coming down to you're in third place, but San Diego's probably going to win against Las Vegas and jump you. Now you're going to drop down to fourth, and it's all going to come down to, are you going to beat OC at home? At home, you think you might, but I don't know. You might give away the 2 points of the death again. Who knows?
Yeah, there is a chance of that, of course, and that game now looking increasingly crucial next weekend. We knew it was going to be a big one, but especially on a night like this, Rising dropping points. It can feel like a point gained. It can feel like one of those draws that sometimes feels like a win as you come back there. But of course, thank you, of course, to our good friend Discount Jake or Dr. Doom and Gloom for the nice negative analysis of that one, even if he's right. But you know what? You referenced the number.
Rick Shantz.
But you know what? You referenced the numbers there. Let's take a quick look actually at the stats from this game. If we take a quick look at that, Rising actually finished on top in terms of XG, the expected goals. Some of those chances that Rising created, I think there were ones you had to do a lot better with. And that kind of shows, right, in some of those numbers further down. Rising creating 14 shots to El Paso's 13, but only 2 of Rising's are on target versus 7 for El Paso. That really does kind of sum it up here. And you just look at some of those moments, right? On another night, Emir Quajo's open header, quite frankly, should have found the back of the net or at least forced a good save out of the goalkeeper.
Or at least make
Manuel Arteaga. Yeah, you've got to do something with it, right? You look at Manuel Arteaga's effort when he managed to round the goalkeeper and can't keep it on target. It's those kind of moments that you look at and think, oh, On another night, they go your way. But of course, you can say the exact same about El Paso. They had similar moments themselves. The one that comes off of the post and the inside of the post, let's be honest, and bounces back across the face of goal. The one that just about narrowly goes past the post, both of those coming in the first half. El Paso could really have been 2-0 up at the break. They weren't, but they could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And the another chance that Manu had, which was the only other shot on target, is the one that, he is just outside the 6, maybe level with the penalty spot, and he sends it right into the keeper's chest instead of just putting it into a corner. I know I'm being harsh on a striker, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. And the fact that the ball went up just meant he was focused on power, not necessarily focused on placement from that distance. I mean, these are going to be the fine lines as we get into, now there's 3 games left. Now you get into the postseason. I mean, you look at a game like tonight, if this was a playoff game, I mean, yes, these have been the same exact games the last two matches now, the opposite trends in terms of how they happened. But let's say this was a playoff match. Now you have absolutely no defense left, right? Because you put in Formella and you put in Gallardo for your wingbacks. Now you're basically playing a 3-7. I mean, that was what they threw out there. I mean, yes, you still had a couple of midfielders, but you were throwing the kitchen sink just to try to get this equalizer. And like you said with Cuellar's header, like that absolutely has to at least be on target at the very minimum. You have to make contact with your head. I mean, it's frustrating when you're watching professional soccer players not complete the basics. And again, it's a regular season match. You hope that they can tidy this up as you get to the home stretch. But if you look at the better teams around the league, they're starting to figure it out and starting to figure out the right time. Like San Antonio and we'll get into the USL scores later on. But I mean, you look at other teams that are figuring out that you might have to play eventually.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've given our first reaction to this one. Let's turn it over to the head coach of Phoenix Rising. Let's listen to Juan Guerra's overall thoughts on the match.
Listen, Owen, I haven't even seen the table. I haven't seen anything. If we focus purely on what just happened for the last 95 minutes, I think it's positive. It's very positive to finish a 3-game week on the road. We wanted to win. And wherever we go, we try to play the same way and we try to go for the game to try to win. The first half was a very good performance on the road, to be able to play the way we wanted to play, to be able to expose them through lines, to be able to get to the final third. And I think we lacked a bit of the final touch in the final third to make a good decision that could have ended up in an opportunity. Second half, I think we started well as well, even though we have to make a substitution because Ale was playing a good game. But I mean, he felt something and we didn't want to risk it. There's 3 weeks left in the season and we don't want to risk any players, so we made a substitution and Danny is playing on the right side. We ended up with 3 lefty center backs, and we've done a good job too. We're playing well, we're keeping the ball, we're controlling the game how we wanted to control it. And then in one play, we fell asleep. I have to see it again. And then a guy finishes a play. You go down 1-0 on the road. In El Paso, it's very difficult. It's not easy. But the boys didn't back down. They kept going forward. They kept trying to control the game. I think we generated enough chances to at least have scored 1. And I don't think it was going to be fair if we would have lost the game tonight. We generated enough chances to score more than 1. That is true. But also I think El Paso generated a few chances, and it could have been also more than 1.
I mean, when we look at this overall, Jake, I think here's the question really. Is a draw a fair result coming out of this game?
Yeah, I think 1 point apiece is fair, but it easily could have gone either way, honestly, if anyone wanted to take their chances, and the chances that were, I mean, take nothing away from Formella's finish. I can't quite tell if he's on or not. I mean, there's a far El Paso player on the far end of the box that may be level with them, and we'll never know, and it really doesn't matter. But my question to you is, if I said to you 5 points this week, would you have taken that against the teams you were playing and where you were playing? I don't know if 5 is enough. I would have taken 6 or 7 for sure, but I think 5 is disappointing, especially with how it happened.
I think is one of those ones where if Rising had not conceded that stoppage time goal on Wednesday, walked away with 7 points this week with a draw today, you'd have taken it. You'd have looked at it and said, okay, that's fine. You wouldn't have felt as though they'd really thrown too much away. And they'd be in a better position at the moment going in tonight, especially with regards to the table. Again, we'll get into that one later, but they would be in a better position tonight. At the end of the day, it is tough at the same time, right? This is coming towards the end of the season. Yes, you have 2 home games in that 3 games in 8-day stretch, but playing 3 games in 8 days is not an easy one. It's not easy when you go into the Wednesday game knowing that your opponent, yes, they had to travel, they've had to get days more rest than you. It's not easy going into a game here in El Paso when you're looking at El Paso did not have to play a midweek and have had a whole week off to managed to recover, to prepare for this game, not had to worry about quickly trying to turn things around. At the same time, yeah, I think you look at the caliber of the teams that Rising had to play this week, and when you break those things down, you look at a group of teams that are all of which realistically bottom half teams, and you probably expect more than 5 points out of that. Juan is taking the positives. We can take the positive. At least the boys did show some fight tonight. They fought back after going down on the road, but still, ultimately, it's 5 points from 3 games. And yeah, there are definitely questions you can ask about whether they should have done better over the course of this week. Well, you know what? One group that didn't let this team down. We're going to go over to not really a man of the match, but more of our men and women of the match. We're going to give it today to the traveling Rising support. It's about a 6-hour, 18-minute drive. Thank you to our producer Emma for working that one out. 430 miles via the I-10. It's a nice long trip. That image doesn't capture all of them, but gets them down there in the corner with the flag up, cheering the boys on all night long. And we know just from when you speak to the players, you speak to the coaches, just how much it means to have that traveling support. I'm sure they're all going to be enjoying themselves tonight at the very least across the streets. But of course, if they do make that 6-hour and 18-minute drive, the smartest way to prepare for that would be to sign up for Circle K's Inner Circle program. You actually save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups if you sign up for the Circle K Inner Circle program. Completely free. There are other benefits as well. You know, your way towards free snacks, loads of good stuff like that. And of course, remember, this Circle K is everywhere, right? They're all over the country. You know you're going to find them. You know you're going to get decent price gas. Make sure to sign up for the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. At participating locations, visit circlek.com for details. And of course, if you are back in Arizona, you didn't make the trip, a good time maybe to crack out some beers, whether in celebration or commiseration. It's an awkward one tonight, of course, the draw. But regardless, make sure to crack out some beers. And if you're going to do so, crack out some Four Peaks, right? You can go for the Wow. You can go Kilt Lifter, Hazy. There's loads of types of beers that Four Peaks put out, whatever you like. I mean, I obviously am partial to the Wow. I am not going to pronounce it in the weird way that Max likes to pronounce it on our podcast. Whenever he give him the opportunity, I'm not going to say it like that. But if I was back in Arizona right now, I would be reaching straight into the fridge and picking out a Wow. And there's a lot of other stuff coming out as well. Of course, they're getting right into fall. They're going to do, lots of Oktoberfest related stuff. You've got, of course, the pumpkin porter, which is always a really, really nice drink, especially when they start using that as well at their 8th Street pub and making the pumpkin pie there as well. Really nice stuff. Make sure to check them out on Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub on socials to keep up with the latest Arizona's hometown brewery. You must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Right, so Jake, we give a man / women / everyone of the match to the traveling support, but anyone else who stood out for you, positive or negative on Rising side tonight?
Positive, Rocco. I mean, I feel like that's a given most matches, especially early on. There was a few of those 1v1s when Rising had possession and they were kind of caught out with everyone high up the pitch, and they're just defenders are just beaten for pace. From a negative standpoint, and I was talking to Juan about this. He obviously does the Spanish broadcast with Ramon. But Carlos Harvey has not been the same recently. I don't know if it was the time away on international duty, whatever it may be. He's nowhere near the same that he was at the beginning of the year when he was the driving engine of this team. I mean, he was winning every 50-50 and making plays with his feet. And I know he scored on Wednesday, don't get me wrong, but there were some times tonight where it was just the touch was off, the pass was not crisp. And when that second touch is going to have to, or that first touch is just to control the ball to yourself, or your pass isn't good enough, and your teammate has to take another touch just to get your pass under control. When you have a team like El Paso who's pressing on you, like I mentioned earlier, with your back to goal, those are the problems. Those are the issues, and you're going to lead into scoring opportunities for your teammates. I just, I don't know. We saw in the last month, this past month, this team had been ascending and been catching fire and catching storm, and you had hoped that form would carry on into the postseason. And I'm just hoping that, this is just a dip, or just playing too many games in a couple of days. But you really hope that this isn't a trend, and you don't want to go into the playoffs limping in, because we've seen Phoenix Rising do that in the past. And it never bodes well. It's never advantageous to not be at your best as you go into the elimination matches where, one mistake and that's it. It's over.
Indeed, yeah, you never want to be limping into those. But worth noting, of course, that there are no more Wednesday night games, at least, coming up throughout this season. No more of those condensed weeks for Phoenix Rising. Some other things to note there, of course, if we're talking about Carlos Harvey's performance, of course, Renzo Zambrano will be available as of the next match. He missed 2 games this week due to yellow card accumulation, picking up 11 on the season. That man can't keep himself out of the book. And I'm seeing in the chat here, shout out to the chat, by the way, everyone, lots of you are saying a lot of things to us. Unfortunately, my laptop is slightly off to here, so I can't read all of you constantly. But I did see and Pat here saying that apparently the El Paso broadcast said that Rocco was poor. Did you catch that one, Jake?
So
was that genuinely something that was said, that Rocco had a poor game? There was 7 shots on target. He let 1 in.
I mean, if you really want me to go into what the broadcast said, I mean, there was I don't know if they talked about Rocco being poor, but I know they talked about how Formella's chance was like one of the only chances. And it was like, I don't know what you're seeing. And they were talking about how Chicharito is the best rebound pouncer in football. And it's like, there was a Brazilian guy named Ronaldo who made a career off of those. You might have heard of him. They said that Panos didn't touch the ball, and Panos would have assisted Manu's goal that he shot right at the goalkeeper. He literally shipped it over. Like, again, it was, and I understand that the UTEP football game is the reason why they had a backup broadcast team, because the play-by-play guy, I felt like I couldn't tell if I was watching high school kids or youth parents watch their own kids play. Because literally, the way the play-by-play announcer would talk about this game is he would react as if he was a fan, right? And I get, like, however you may feel about someone saying "we" on a broadcast, it's their broadcast, so I don't really care if you say "we" or not. But it's just, it was so homerish, it was so one side, and I get it, it's their broadcast, but they're just blatantly not watching the game. They're just talking about El Paso in an El Paso lens only. I mean, the fact that they said that they had no aerial threat and no chances via crosses when Cuello clearly should have equalized with his opportunity. I mean, I'm done with this broadcast. This broadcast was infuriating. I should have listened to it.
I will say,
I wish the problem was it would have been off. It would have been delayed, right? I wouldn't have been watching words with what I was seeing.
This is true. Well, I tell you what, as soon as you mentioned it, they said that Panos didn't touch the ball. I did have to look at the stats and can say that Panos Amanakis touched the ball 48 touches, which is more than all but 3 of El Paso Locomotive's players on the night. So whether you think he had a good game, a bad game or not, you can't deny the fact that he did get involved in the play. Which apparently some would suggest otherwise. If you look more broadly, you know what? People are mentioning the Formella goal again. I tell you what, that's gotten a lot of plaudits. I've heard a lot of good things. Funnily enough, right? And Sometimes, unfortunately, this is the case as you are sitting up here in the press box and hurriedly typing away a description for the show. And all of a sudden, the ball hits the back of the net. I have actually not seen that goal. Jake, would you like to describe it for me?
Yeah, it was actually a nice bit of build-up play, nice bit of 1-2 touch. It was 3 players involved. I am blanking. It might have been Carlos to Trejo to Formella. And like I said, Formella in a very tight triangle. But Formella, I can't tell if he's offside or not. The El Paso broadcast will say he is. The El Paso broadcast also said that El Paso was the best team tonight and deserved the 3 points. Again, it could have gone either way. Neither team wanted to score, it seemed like. But if you look at Formella's finish, it's a curler. It goes right around the goalkeeper, gives him no chance. It hits side netting. It's a beautiful finish. Does VAR take that away? Maybe, but we don't have a good angle because, in fact, the El Paso broadcast angle, and this has nothing to do with the announcers, this is just the way this baseball stadium is built with the camera.
You can't get a camera angle that shows the entire offside.
Exactly.
Line, no.
You can't even see the corner of the field. I'm tired of these baseball stadiums in this league, man. I can't wait till Cashman Field's done.
And Cashman Field doesn't even host baseball games anymore. But you know what? I was actually told before the game, and not from someone from El Paso, someone from Phoenix, so I'll give them a bit of credit on this one, that apparently this is one of the better playing surfaces that you get among these baseball fields. It's clearly not good on the sight lines, but among the baseball fields in this league, this is one of the better surfaces.
Can you show the picture of the pitch you sent me?
We don't happen to have that one set up, unfortunately, but rumor has it that maybe I'll be tweeting that one later on. But you know what? If we're talking about Dariusz Formella's goal, I should have a little bit of a listen, actually, to what Juan had to say about that particular goal. Let's have a listen to it.
I've seen Dariusz do that finish hundreds of times. Last year where we were together, and this year he stays after training and he does that same finishing. And as soon as they played, I think it was a wall pass, and the ball stayed there, I was just thinking he's gonna curl it to the second post, and it was a great goal. It was a great goal. I like the play too, the way that the build up to the goal, and then the finish was very good.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm just reading the chat. I forgot about this. The broadcast color guy, who was actually the academy director, talked about the backheeled article about Panos. 2 facts he got completely wrong. 1, Joe Lowry, who I do love Joe, didn't write it. It was John Morrissey. And then 2, he said that Panos was the Guardians' top 100 youth player. It was top 50. Just get your facts straight. If you're going to say something on a broadcast, at least say factual information.
This would be why our friends over at Rising Radio tend to have notes sitting in front of them to make sure they don't make errors like that. But yes, going back to Dariusz's goal, that was one actually. Juan says in there he's seen him do that 100 times in training. At that same time, Patrick Rakowski was walking in down the tunnel the first time that Juan was talking about that goal. And Juan turns to him and goes, "How many times have you seen that one?" He's like, "At least 3 times a week in training." He does this all the time, apparently.
Well, then maybe he should get some more minutes.
Maybe he should. We'll
have to see. I don't know how the formation works out,
but he's got 2 goals in 3 games now, with very minimal playing time. Maybe it is something you have to consider quite how you choose to go about that. How you get him more minutes on the field. It'd be interesting. That one will be interesting. But we'll get one last clip, I think, from Juan from tonight. Before he spoke to me, he went in quickly to speak to the players. And here's what he said his message to the players was.
Everything is positive about tonight. We wanted to win. We want to win every single time. But El Paso is a tough team, man. It's a tough team that they're not getting the results they've deserved or earned. Last game versus Sacramento, we scouted them well, and they've done a very good job, and they lost it in the last few seconds. They made a tactical change that I believe made them a lot stronger. It's a team that is not giving up a lot of goals right now and has a lot of offensive power. So coming over here tonight and under the circumstances and the situation that we went on the game, to get a point is very important. Everything is positive about tonight. We are going through a very good moment, not just based on results, but also based on performance as well. The performance tonight it was good. Things to improve every single time, after every single game, after every single practice. We were very ambitious and we want to keep getting better, but everything about tonight has to be positive.
Yeah, so he's taking the positives definitely coming out of that game. Again, I understand it, right? It's not easy to go on the road. It's not easy to do so, especially at the end of a stretch like this. And again, when you score a goal late on, you don't want to deflate the guys, do you? You don't want to go in too heavy after that one, even though again there are a lot of things, right, that do need work. It's yeah. Any more thoughts on tonight's game specifically, Jake?
Just to follow up on your point, I don't know obviously what was said in the locker room after Wednesday or tonight, but there comes a point to where you just got to look at your leaders in the eye and almost tell them to communicate to their teammates. I mean, yes, I know the team does do a little huddle before each half, right, on the pitch, but it's one of those to where, you know, Juan can only do so much. He puts them out in the best position possible, he thinks, but the players have to execute. And so I think if, you know, Danny, Panos, you know, Darnell, whoever it may be that's on the pitch, just have to look each other in the eye and just say, guys, like, we got to be better. Like, it's been good the last month. Don't get me wrong. You're at what, 7 unbeaten now? But it has to be better because you have to continue this ascension into the playoffs. You can't, like I said earlier, you can't limp in because there's nothing worse than coming into the playoffs with your tail between your legs. You're asking to be defeated. And I think if you can get this win against OC, just finish 4th. I don't think 3rd's going to be really doable at this point. But if you can finish 4th, host a playoff game, win that, because you'll be playing a team that's just as good as you are, that can give you confidence to then maybe get an upset, which can then start a potential domino effect. Because once you get to the finals, the conference finals, and then a final, I mean, really anything can happen at that point. But I think it's coming down to now the players have to take it upon themselves. I mean, Juan can only do so much. You can only yell at the guys so much. The players need to take this personally, and they need to go out. And some of these guys who are still on don't have year extensions. Now you're playing for your own contract. So there's a lot to play for.
There is, of course. Again, it's a night where you can take certainly some positives, but there's also some frustration. And if you need to try and take a bit of a chill, let those frustrations go, of course, you can try the Jake Anderson approved OGs. He did indeed approve of them the last time that I had him on the show. So, Jake, I'm sorry. We've got your seal of endorsement on them now.
That's okay. I approve.
The thing that Indeed, he does approve. Jake enjoyed the summer edition, the pink lemonade. And of course, that's the thing that makes OG so good, right? The gummies themselves are actually, they're good gummies. Okay, they're good tasting gummies. And that's a key part in this. There's lots of different flavors. They've also got those mixed bags that we keep telling you about. You can go with the fruits. You've got lots of different options there. The red apple, the watermelon, the peach, and the fruits. You've got the creams, the blackberries and cream, the orange creamsicle, the peaches and cream. Try out those mixed bags and check out our friends at OG's Brands for yourself. You can try a few of their flavors, however many you feel like. Check them out across all socials at OG's Brands, OGEEZ Brands, and online at ogsbrands.com to find them at a local dispensary near you. You must, of course, be 21 or older to enjoy responsibly. Meanwhile, I'm going to be heading out, I'm sure, to a bar after we're done here. Unfortunately, it will not be Valley Tap Room because I'm a little bit far away from Gilbert. If I was a little bit closer, probably have to be Valley Tap Room. We always have a good time when we head on down there with our guy Donald. Went down there with Max this last Tuesday. We did trivia. We finished second. I'll take second. That's not bad. Higher up the leaderboard than Rising are at the minute. They're currently in 3rd. But I'll take second. Second's a decent shot.
That's as never finished in league history.
Yeah, there we go. I'll take second. Right, but lots of different beer options there. 30 different taps, and of course you got bottles and cans as well. They've got wine there if you feel like something different. They've got limited bar menu there. You can, of course, bring food from elsewhere. There's a couple of different places in the area you can bring food in from, and just have a great night there. Honestly, can't recommend the trivia night enough. It's good fun there, always good fun with a few pints. Remember, of course, if you're going to go there and drink, you got to be 21 or over. But make sure to check them out on Instagram at Valley Taproom and visit them off the 202 in Gilbert. Always a good time at Valley Taproom. We love it. Right, we can, I think, make a move now. Before we move on to around the USL, though, I do believe producer Emma. So Jake was referencing earlier a photo that I had of the playing surface from before the game. Producer Emma has very quickly thrown that on a background, and we got it there just so you can see from pretty close up there what it looks like where the infield dirt meets the rest of the pitch. And yeah, Jake, your first reaction when you saw that picture earlier today?
What the hell is that? Like,
it's USL Championship right there. That's USL Championship right there, Jake.
It looks so much worse on TV. Like it literally just looks like some. Have you seen Fun with Dick and Jane, the movie? For those that have seen the Jim Carrey movie Fun with Dick and Jane, it's about Enron, basically, when everyone loses all their money in the Ponzi scheme, and he loses his lawn, and he goes and he cuts all his neighbors' lawns to put them on his own front yard. And so it's a bunch of different colors, it's a bunch of different cuts, and that's what that looks like. It's awful. We talked about this on Thursday for the pod, how they might not cut the grass, they might not water it. They just have to bring in different sod to put it over dirt. And then what the hell is happening behind you?
The window's closing, Jake. It's okay.
Great.
Do not be alarmed. Do not be alarmed, viewers. It's okay. But yeah, it's the reality of this league on Titans. That's what happens. But speaking of this league, should we have a quick look around the USL? Right, I'm gonna have to read out these scores. So starting out on the East with the earlier kickoffs, Loudoun United 1, Louisville City 2, Pittsburgh Riverhands 2, New Mexico United 1, Tampa Bay Rowdies 2, Memphis 901 4, Detroit City 3, Hartford Athletic 0, Charleston Battery 2, FC Tulsa 1, Colorado Springs Switchbacks 2, Sacramento Republic 0, San Antonio 4, Orange County 0, and Oakland Roots 2, Monterey Bay 2. Well, the big one there, really, from Rising's perspective, San Antonio with a massive win over Orange County, taking it 4-0. It's one of those games that I think it's really opened up the possibility for Rising to, despite dropping points here today, find their way into those top 4 places and stay there, because I know I was speaking to people earlier today. They were asking the question, what's the result that you want to see? Do you want to see a draw in that game because it opens up the possibility of catching San Antonio? My response to most of those people was, don't bite off more than you can chew, right? Take it slow, steps, trying to make sure you get up there. What you don't want to do is see Orange County pick up points in that position that allow them come the end of the season to finish above Phoenix Rising, especially given that Orange County have an additional game to play. I think that when you see Rising dropping points today in the way that they did, and on Wednesday, to be perfectly frank, Orange County losing in that match, knowing they've got to play San Antonio again before the season is out, is really critical in terms of opening up the opportunity to host a playoff game.
Yeah, and I don't see any way that I know San Diego's currently a point behind, but 2 games in hand, they get to play the best team in the league, Las Vegas, twice. So there's 6 points. I mean, I don't see who they drop. Maybe they drop some points to El Paso on the road, but I just don't see how they catch San Diego. And now it all comes down to, you have to win on Saturday. You have to win on Saturday, because like you said, with the game in hand that OC has, it's a 6-point game. And if they have a game in hand and you don't win, even if you draw, no one moves, and they have the game in hand, and they can always just draw, and then they're past you. So That's probably who you're going to end up playing in the first round. From the looks of it, as of right now, would you rather play them in Phoenix or would you rather play the OC? Obviously, history in the playoffs, was it only the one game? So, and that was the conference final with, Didier was still playing. He scored, but they're not. We saw what OC is capable of. We understand how well they can play, how they won this thing 2 years ago. So you have to start treating these games like finals. It's just infuriating to me because I just don't see how this team can go on the road. But hey, at the same time, if I want to be positive for once tonight, at the same time, the playoffs are all about not losing, right? You don't necessarily even have to score to lift a cup.
No. Orange County were a perfect example of that in 2021. You don't have to be a good team. You don't have to go out there and dominate games. You have to hang in there and hope that you get that little bit of luck that goes your way. I mean, Rising, let's be honest, right? Phoenix Rising haven't won a USL Championship playoff game in 90 minutes since 2018. They've made the final since then.
And that was against OC.
Off the back of two cases of kicks from the mark and a dodgy handball goal, a dodgy punched handball goal in the in extra time on it at home against Sacramento Republic. Yeah, that was. So yeah, sometimes you just need to ride your luck a little bit. Now, Oakland against Monterey Bay ending a draw. That's an interesting one. Oakland were on a massive slide. Monterey Bay led twice in that game. Oakland ultimately coming back to equalize in the 90th minute. Really a critical one for them. Would have opened the door for El Paso to possibly be in the top 8 tonight if that game had ended as a Monterey Bay win. But as it stands instead, El Paso is still 1 point below the playoff line. As we look, of course, the top 2 teams in the West now have clinched. Sacramento, 55 points. San Antonio on 54. Phoenix Rising sitting in third on 47 points. They're above Orange County on the same points. Orange County do have a game in hand. But again, these two teams will face each other in Phoenix next weekend. San Diego, they're playing tomorrow, so they actually have 2 games in hand on Rising. They're on 46 points, 1 behind the 2 teams above them. Colorado Springs Switchbacks on 43 points, 30 games played. And Oakland Roots, again, 30 games played, 41. Monterey Bay, 31 games played, 41 points. So you look down the table.
Man, I mean, they have a game in hand. Let's say they win, they're a point back. Then they win the head-to-head at the end of the last game of the season in Colorado. That's elevation. That's a tough place to play. That's turf. It's
yeah.
This is when the dropping of points becomes even more infuriating, because if you look over the course of the season, all the times you've dropped a point, how vital and important are those 2 points from Wednesday night right now? Like,
well, look, there's two points there. Look, if you take 2 points there, you take 3 points dropped against Miami and 3 points dropped against Vegas. At that stage, you have a team that is level on points with Sacramento Republic, going for fifth spot.
And Sac did everyone
those kind of margins,
5 games in a row or whatever it was.
Yeah. It's one of those. But regardless, still ending the night in third. They're in they still got a chance, right, to do this as awkward as it is. I will say, if you look down the table, though, one of the teams that, to me, I think is starting to really slip out of contention, even though, of course, they're not mathematically eliminated. New Mexico United, 4 points adrift from that playoff line. They've only got 3 games to play. They lost today against Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Is it? I mean, it's very close to being over for them, isn't it? Let's be honest.
How fun would it be to eliminate them on October 7th?
I've said this for a few weeks. I genuinely think that Phoenix Rising New Mexico United game could be the game that New Mexico are eliminated. And it could be that night. It could well be that night.
And hell, I mean, if for all intents and purposes, that might be a playoff tune-up, because you start to play with teams, because you don't get the same desperation you do when you're beating a team in the final 10, 15 minutes. Yes, they're going to send everybody up. Yes, the keeper might come up. But there isn't a sense of, guys, there is no tomorrow if we lose this game. Desperation. Guys aren't being taken off the pitch in fear of injury. Guys are doing everything they can because they know that if they don't win that game, that they're not going to be playing again until February and March, right? Like there's a different sense of desperation that you go through. So maybe that's good practice. And it's at home in front of a crowd. You know, it's potentially the last home game of the entire season for Rising. Hopefully the crowd's big that night. Just give yourself something to play for. You have it. It's all to play for. Just the motivation, the energy that the crowd can give you. It's just frustrating. Like results like tonight, you scrape away a point. Wednesday, you gave away 2, and you did it at the death both times. I mean, you're on both sides of the coin, and you got to feel it twice in 4 days. Hopefully, now you have a week off or a week until you play a game. I wonder if Juan gives the guys a Monday off, to be honest, just to recoup. But, man, they got to get back to work. And, you know, I think tonight honestly showed not having Gabby Torres, what that is like. Because now it's what is the option when Eddie and Darnell are either tied? Like, they can't play 120 minutes for an entire postseason. I mean, who are you going to bring in to play defense on that side?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Gabby Torres, of course, we're expecting to not see him realistically until playoff time. Meanwhile, Alejandro Fuenmayor, I'm not sure if that was included in the clips from Juan that played out earlier on the show, but he was taking off at the time that he was because of a little bit of concern, a little bit of tightness he was having. Again, someone you don't necessarily want to go down at this stage of the season. But yes, all to play for still as we go through to the last 3 games of this regular season. Well, Jake, thank you for taking the time to join today. We will have a show. Max should be back from his trip over to San Diego for our show coming up on Tuesday at the usual time. If you do want an opportunity to ask some questions of Max while he's away, of course, you can do that on our Discord, but you can only do that if you are a diehard. So make sure to go to our website, gophnx.com, sign up as a diehard today. Lots of great perks in there. You get a free shirt on signing up, and you win every single year of your membership. You get access to exclusive diehard only content across all of our beats. And of course, you also get, as I mentioned, that Discord, and there's discounts on merch as well. It's not just the free shirt every year. You get discounts on merchandise every time you order, and some diehard exclusive merchandise as well. In the meantime, though, again, looking ahead to Tuesday, we'll have a show at 6 o'clock. Jake, you'll be able to get that one off. You won't have to hop on the pod for that one. You can have a night off there.
I'll join in the chat.
Join in the chat out. We would expect nothing less from you, Jake. But again, thank you for joining. It was a day when realistically you may have been hoping to see Phoenix Rising hit a home run, but in the end, a late ball into the outfield, they find themselves on 3rd. Good night.